Two Liberals, talkie. Welcome to part two of our chat as we get excited about Sunday the 17th of November at the Capital Brewing Company X My Vinyl Revolution Record Fair. We're getting excited about that brand new release of John Lennon's Mind Games, that 3LP meditation masterpiece that we're all really getting excited about, and we spoke about that. I can't wait to get my hands on my copy. Erica's got her hands on her copy, and there might be one available as a sneaky one. You might have to get in there early. What time does it start, Erica?
Starts at 11:30 and finishes around 4 o'clock, after 4 o'clock sometime.
What else have you been spinning?
Oh, well, I have been spinning Leon Bridges. Do you know, he's a how do I explain what he's like? He does funk soul and neo soul,
Yes.
but you know, if Leon Bridges, he's an American artist, of course. If he was a film or TV series, he would be like, do you know Will Trent or Treme, the series Treme?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah. He's very Southern US of A, and I am not an Americana fan. I am not really like a country fan, but here we are. It's up in my 5 current listens. I'm listening to his new album called Leon, and which has been released on Columbia in 2024. It's just dropped recently. I got into Leon Bridges when because I'm a big Khruangbin fan. Do you know who Khruangbin are?
No.
Oh my God, they're amazing. They're coming out to tour in March 2025, and they do Texas funk soul, rock. Yeah, very, very relaxed music. And Leon Bridges is also relaxed. So I got into him when I bought the Khruangbin Texas Moon and Texas Sun albums in 2020. And I heard his voice and thought, wow, this guy's amazing. He's very relaxed. He does a really unique interpretation of how do I say it? Like he does funky interpretations of sorry, you might have to edit that bit out, or we can just keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just had something bleeping on my screen. Yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you about the album, and then maybe you can get an idea of what he's like as an artist.
Yeah, cool.
He's a solo artist, and this latest album is centered around his upbringing in Fort Worth in Texas, and he primarily recorded this album in Mexico City, worked with producers Ian Fitchuk and Daniel Tashian, and this is like a part 2 of his 2021 album, Gold Digger Sound. That's how I hear it, but that's not what people are saying. But Gold Digger Sound, oh my goodness, that's a really romantic album. So lads, if you are looking for an album that your ladies are going to really enjoy, listen to Leon, listen to Gold Digger's Sound, because you could play it while you're having dinner at home. You could play it in a nightclub, and you can play it while you're driving around. It's got a lot of application, this album. But look, Leon cited Roy C. and Van Morrison, in specifically the Astral Weeks album by Van Morrison, as influences on this album's sound and lyricism.
Wow.
And I just really like it. You know, if you look at the cover of the album, it's him sitting on a fold-out chair next to a river in the late afternoon with the sun streaming through. And, you know, it's just very evocative of relaxed music. So it's not an anthemic album. It's not like that. And sometimes, you know, it feels curiously frictionless and it's not a bad thing to say that, but it reminds me of Loving Care. It reminds me of love songs. It's got emotional weight and personal intimacy from the artist singing directly to you. That's how I feel what he does, and how it affects me. And My favorite track on this album is entitled When a Man Cries. So it's very vulnerable,
Yeah.
he really does talk and sing in his lyrics about experiences of a man and how a man expresses himself and feels vulnerable sometimes.
Wow. I'll have to go and check it out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I would also describe it as he writes like Prince ballads, like the musician Prince,
Mhm.
but he sings them in a country Americana style.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really different to what I normally like, but this is a happening artist and he's rising and he has toured in Australia a couple, I think once actually. But if he comes out, I would definitely see him again. And if it was on the lawn of, like a winery or an estate like that, that'd be perfect. Beautiful. Yeah. So
Amazing.
that's Leon.
What else we got there? What else have you been spinning?
Ooh, well, opposite to that, completely opposite to that. Jamie XX. Have you heard, Jamie XX,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Waves. That's his, I've been spinning the deluxe edition 2LP with the exclusive 12. And that was released this year via Young Records. And it's got the wavy artwork on the front cover.
Wow.
Yeah, Jamie's like the modern version of Basement Jaxx. He's there. He's in all the dance floor sets. He's everywhere. But the genre is house, broken beat, and UK garage. And on this pressing, Music on Vinyl, they pressed in Waves on 2 discs alongside a 12-inch featuring 2 exclusive bonus tracks and the singles Let's Do It Again and It's So Good and Kill Dem.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's a British artist. So the records, there's one black vinyl, one white vinyl, and then the 12-inch is black and white with the exclusive tracks that I just mentioned. And it's like, I don't know, it's not dystopian, it's more melancholy, but it focuses on blissful paradise and heartbreak and introspection, but just through the lens of dance music.
That's
So
amazing.
it's his story of a journey where you're merging into shadows and light and dance floor rhythms. So everything that you get when you're on the dance floor, but his lyrics are talking about limitless possibilities and spiritual capacities of humanity.
Wow.
Like this is an artist at the peak of his power, and this is coincidentally 9 years after his debut solo masterpiece, which is entitled In Color. He's not just met that, because that was a huge album when it came out. He's eclipsed it with this album.
Wow.
And it's not it's not arrogant or anything like that. He's just making analogies and sort of like supernatural references. It's a big album. It's a big album. But what he does is he layers together like the genres of Northern Soul and disco and garage, acid house, techno, tropicalia. Then he's got, the standard, he's known as a hip hop and funk artist. But he also weaves in a very British UK pirate radio sound. So if you like Larry Levan and the Avalanches, Moody Man, or Burial, then this is an album that you should investigate. So yeah, and my favorite track on this album is entitled "Waited All Night."
Waited all night. I'll go and check that one out.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't normally say jump in and check out this artist, but he is actually very, very special.
I think so. I think how you measured there, the textures and all the dynamic of that artist, I think it's going to be definitely a pleasurable listen, and not just a listen, like with all vinyl, an experience. I've been listening to a couple as well. I mentioned in the previous, in part 1, about the Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory, and there must be some subconscious vibe about artists who are coming to Australia, and this was kind of not by design, but I've been eyeing this off for a while. I love live performances, whether they're bootleg copies or official releases, and actually getting a nice vinyl of a nice good drop of a really good concert. It's always exciting. I picked up Metallica, their first S&M with the New York Symphony Orchestra, the first one back in 1998. And in that new system, I think I used that to break in that new system that I mentioned in the previous episode, my new Yamaha 503, and just that big Metallica wall of sound with the orchestral pit and the crowd. This thing is bloody awesome. It's bloody awesome.
How mind-blowing. I remember when that came out and thinking, how does metal and orchestras go together? How do they go together?
It did. There's a couple that didn't hit, let's be honest, but the ones that did really hit. And there's a version of For Whom the Bell Tolls. We all know that song from their Ride the Lightning, their second album. Memory Remains, which was off Reload back in 97. That thing with the orchestral pit is outstanding. But what the highlight of that 2LP and what that whole experience yielded back then, Nothing Else Matters. Of course, Sir Elton John said that's one of the best songs ever written. Sir Elton John said that to them. Yeah. And that is another gift to humanity. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters when you think about it. It's a beautiful crafted song from a metal band. But that was actually originally written with an orchestral pit in there. There's actually an elevator version that's like a bootleg version out there. But actually was written in its grassroots and performed in its grassroots with that orchestral pit, and that is a beautiful experience and a beautiful version of Nothing Else Matters, which is amazing. That one's been getting a good spin. I picked up the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. That's wonderful. I think we all have to have that, whether you like it or not. That just lends itself to vinyl. Last night I picked up, I'm in a bit of a heavier phase at the moment, Limp Bizkit, Significant Other. I picked that one up. And just to kind of relive my college years and that kind of rebellious rap rock college years at Evolution. And having said that as well, I picked up Follow the Leader by Korn, which was their breakthrough. It took them into mainstream mediocrity. And that album just brings us so much memories, and how that's been pressed. It just sounds so fat and so stereotyped through that new system that I got. And it's exciting. Being Halloween, I'm an Alice Cooper man, and are you into picture discs at all?
I am, for collecting reasons, not so much listening reasons.
Listen to this for a get. I found this paranormal box of Alice Cooper, which is 3 albums. So 3 albums, which equates to 6 LPs of picture discs of his 2016 album of Paranormal, which I really got into. And then the next one, he released Paranormal Evening live at the Olympia in Paris. And he actually came to Canberra in that tour, and I was front row, and I brought a mate of mine, and he doesn't know anything about Alice Cooper. All he knows is Poison. And that set list was perfect. The way it was orchestrated was perfect. And that, I mentioned about the Metallica version. The Metallica album was great with the Symphony Orchestra. This live version of that Paranormal Activity release was great. And as the third disc was that album called Detroit Stories, which was his lockdown COVID album. So it's 3 discs included in this big box, and it's outstanding. I cranked it loud on Halloween for the trick-or-treaters around town, and it was perfect. But the pick of the bunch... You ready for this?
What's that?
Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon soundtrack.
Oh, that's so good.
I found one in the UK. I found one to the UK, and it got to me, and it's a really good pressing. It's in great condition, and it's amazing. And it's an absolute treat coming through that new system, especially that theme song intro with the "oh" at the start. It's beautifully balanced. And it's a short and sweet one, which I like. I like nice and short and sweet soundtrack, especially the film scores.
Yeah.
And Enter the Dragon, because I've got some other stuff to announce later on in maybe some future episodes. I'm starting to do a little bit of sampling, and I want to sample some Bruce Lee stuff. So that's been spinning on my place at the moment. And I also picked up David Bowie, Man Who Sold the World picture disc as well, speaking on the topic of picture disc, and that's another gift to humanity, that whole album.
And what's the image that's on the cover of that picture disc?
It's one of them is him doing that kick, which is the
Yeah.
original cover, and behind it is just another like profile, black and white profile picture of him.
Oh, wow.
It's a great album. It plays itself, that thing.
Classic.
Are you a Bowie fan?
I am probably a troglodyte when it comes to Bowie because he's one of those artists where it depends on what you or at what point you meet him because he's like 20 artists all in one.
Yeah.
So if I was going to, I am a Bowie fan, the short answer is, but I'm probably more Ziggy Stardust era fan than Black Star fan.
There you go. My entry into, I mean, we spoke about the Beatles before, and I mean, you hear all these, I mean, you hear their music and you respect it and you hear it, but then there's a point where you start to listen to it and you discover it. I jumped in on Black Star, the last album he ever made. And I actually found that. It was just one of those nights I was scrolling through and I found a secondhand copy at this random store in Melbourne and I got it sent to me. And that's been my introduction because there's something beautiful. There's a disturbing beauty about that album, especially just that song Black Star, which goes for 10 minutes. Outstanding stuff. And then I've obviously followed suit with Man Who Sold the World, obviously made famous by Nirvana Unplugged. And I think I might continue to start into the rabbit hole now of David Bowie, which I'll probably start to explore along with John Lennon.
Along with John Lennon, yeah. Well, one of the people in the Bowie entourage, and there was a lot of people that worked with him earlier on and then became famous as well. But do you know who Mark Ronson is, the electronic DJ?
Of course.
His dad, Mick Ronson, played with Bowie long term on heaps of tours.
Wow.
So go back to the spandex jumpsuit era and you'll usually see Bowie with another guy who's got long blondish kind of hair, and that's Mick Ronson, and he was a genius. Yeah.
Well, his son's a genius. Speaking of Bowie with another guy, I'm looking, my next purchase is going to be Raw Power from Iggy Pop. There's a nice release there. It's a 2 LP release of the original mastering and then a David Bowie mastered where he mixed the same songs, because there was a point in time when they worked together for a while, and I think he produced that album. So then they were
very good friends for a long, and I think they were friends lifelong as well.
Absolutely. I think Bowie was friends with everyone, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I was watching a doco the other night. I think it might have been a YouTube thing about how he was when he first started his self-titled first album, David Bowie, was actually dropped by the record label because nobody really bought it.
Wow.
And then he reinvented himself after watching and possibly working with, but I'm not sure, the actor Anthony Newley. The performer Anthony Newley. And it was that combination of his lyrics and music with the style from Newley that launched him to a whole new audience, and that kicked off his career.
Wonderful. All right. That's, Jesus, out of time again.
I know, more rabbit hole stuff.
More rabbit holes. We'll have to do a part 3. We'll get excited about the Capital Brewery Company X My Vinyl Revolution record fair, which is happening Sunday, 17th of November. Erica, we can't wait. What would one expect for the first time headed out there? Because we're expecting some big numbers there on Sunday.
We are, but it's an event that goes from late morning to early afternoon. So, whenever you show up is a great time. The great benefit of partnering with Capital Brewing Company is they have this amazing brewery where you can actually see the equipment that makes the beer that you then order out of the craft beer bar. And they have great music-related beers. I think when I was there last time, I had a Red Sheeran. So, they're into their music as well. And they also have like a burger bar where you can show up. Great music there, excellent music. And the record fair is right in the middle of the brewery itself. So you can sit inside or outside. And I think it's going to be beautiful weather. The long-term forecast says it's going to be a sunny day, but we'll see. We'll see leading up to the day.
Well, it's going to be a great day as we move into that pre-Christmas situation. It's the last one for the year. So if you're yourself or a vinyl lover within the family, friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, anyone, and you want to surprise them with a wonderful vinyl for Christmas, there's the time to jump on now. Really good prices as well, what you guys do without embarrassing you. Really affordable for our community, especially during hard times. It's a great experience, and I'm a little biased, but I'm also loyal. I've been to a few good record fairs around Australia now, and there's some good stuff. But how you guys do it, I feel so safe, I feel at home, and I feel excited, and I always walk away with a smile on my face. I kind of miss it the next day, a bit sad and melancholy that it's all gone,
That's why
till the next one.
A few times a year, huh?
Yeah. Keep them mean, keep them keen, always. Keep spinning that black circle.
Will do.